All right, if you're gearing up for that Solutions Architect exam, you know cost management can be a total beast. But what if I told you there's one single tool that can help you tame it? That's what we're doing today. We're going to master AWS Cost Explorer. This is your key, not just for acing those tricky exam questions, but for really proving your value as an architect.
So, what is this magic tool anyway? Well, AWS Cost Explorer isn't some third-party thing you have to bolt on. Nope, it's a native service baked right into the AWS ecosystem. You can almost think of it as Amazon's gift to your budget, you know? It's designed to give you all the visibility and control you need to manage your cloud spend like an absolute pro.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. Think of it as our armory approach. First, we'll cover the basics. What even is Cost Explorer? Then we'll get into visualizing your spend, how to report and analyze it. And then we bring out the heavy artillery, forecasting and optimizing. And of course, we'll wrap up with those key exam concepts you absolutely have to know.
And all of this really boils down to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? For any solutions architect out there, whether you're aspiring or already in the trenches, how do you get a handle on those spiraling cloud costs and actually prove your value? Well, the answer, and you've probably figured this out already, is all about mastering the tools we're about to cover.
All right, let's dive right in. Section 1. What is Cost Explorer? Simple. This is your #1 tool for getting financial visibility on AWS. It's the answer to that huge question we just posed. So let's look at the official definition for a second. AWS calls it a service that lets you view and analyze your AWS costs and usage. Now, the keywords there are definitely view and analyze. See, it's not just about looking at a bunch of numbers on a screen. It's about actually understanding them, using graphs and reports, and that includes the special reports for things like reserved instances. And you know what the best part is? Getting started is ridiculously easy. It's a piece of cake. You don't have to install anything. It's literally a 3-step process right inside the billing and cost management console. You just open the console, click on Cost Explorer, and then launch it. That's it. AWS makes this so accessible, there's really no excuse not to be using it. Okay, now for the fun part. Let's see how this thing actually helps you visualize your spend. This is where Cost Explorer really shines. It lets you go from that super high-level, 10,000-foot view of your whole organization's spending and then zoom all the way down to a single pesky little resource that's just eating up your budget. Now, understanding time granularity here is absolutely crucial. By default, you're going to see daily data. You can zoom out to monthly for those bigger trends, right? But if you need to get super granular, you can opt in to see hourly data for the last 14 days. And listen, this is an opt-in for a reason. It generates a ton of data. This is a classic exam question, folks, so lock this in your brain. Hourly granularity is an opt-in feature.
So how do you actually slice and dice all this data? Well, you've got some powerful filters. You can filter by service, like EC2 or S3. You can filter by a specific linked account in your organization, by region, or, and this is a big one, by your cost allocation tags. Think of these as your primary levers for digging deep into your costs and finding where you can save some cash.
Okay, moving on to reporting and analyzing costs. Because once you've got a handle on visualizing the data, the next step is to slice it, dice it, and save what you find so you can share it with your team, right? I mean, what's the point of all this great data if you can't tell its story to anyone?
Let me tell you. The group by feature is an absolute game changer. You can actually combine multiple dimensions to get a way richer view. So, for example, you could group your costs first by service, and then, right under that, by instance type. This is how you go from saying something vague like, hey, we're spending too much on EC2, to something super specific like, aha, it's the M5-point large instances in our dev environment that are the real culprit. See the power in that?
And here's another great thing. You don't have to be a data wizard and rebuild these views every single time. Any customized view you create with all your specific filters and groupings can be saved as a custom report. This is a massive time saver for your regular cost reviews, and trust me, it's going to make you look like a total hero to your finance team.
All right, time to level up. We're moving into the more advanced stuff now. Forecasting and optimizing. This is where you stop just reacting to your bill at the end of the month and become more of a proactive cost ninja. You start predicting the future and finding savings before they even become a problem.
So, cost forecasting. It's basically like having a crystal ball for your cloud spend. Seriously. Cost Explorer uses machine learning, looks at all your past usage data, and then projects what you're probably going to spend in the future. This is amazing for budgeting, for avoiding those nasty end-of-month surprises, and for just showing your boss that, yeah, you've got this totally under control.
Okay, let's talk about a term that trips up a lot of people, even seasoned pros, both in the real world and especially on the exam. That term is amortized costs. What this view does is it takes those big, kind of scary upfront payments you make for things like reserved instances, and it just spreads them out evenly over the whole life of the reservation. It's a total game changer for understanding your true day-to-day costs.
So why should you care about this? Why does it matter? Well, looking at amortized costs gives you the effective daily rate of your reservations. Think about it this way. Instead of seeing this one giant charge hit your bill on the first of the month and then zero for the rest of it, you get to see a nice, smooth line that shows you what you're actually spending each and every day. It's just a much, much truer picture of your financial health in the cloud.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for the final boss battle. We're going to do a rapid-fire round of critical gotchas and must-know facts that are just prime material for exam questions. So you're going to want to pay close attention here, because this stuff is where points are won and lost.
Okay, first up, and this is a big one you need to burn into your brain. Billing data and Cost Explorer data are not the same thing. They just aren't. Billing data is your final, official, auditable invoice. Cost Explorer, on the other hand, is for analysis and forecasting. It's showing you daily unblended costs. They have totally different purposes, so please, please do not get them mixed up on the exam.
And hey, if you don't believe me, here's a direct quote from the AWS documentation itself. It says, "Cost Explorer reports can be modified. We strongly recommend that you don't use them for auditing purposes." So let me make this crystal clear. If you get an exam question about auditing your bill, Cost Explorer is not the right answer. It's a trap. Don't fall for it.
Okay, lean in for this one, because this is a classic scenario-based question you might see. It's all about what happens when an account joins or leaves an AWS organization. Its access to historical cost data actually changes. I like to think of it like this. If you join a new company, you don't get to see their expense reports from last year, right? But if you leave and then rejoin that same company later, well, you get your old history back. Knowing these simple rules is so critical for those tricky what-if questions they love to ask.
Wow, we've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? Everything from just visualizing your spend all the way to forecasting the future. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Now that you have these tools, now that you know how to master your cloud costs, how are you going to use them? Is it just about saving money? Or can you use this insight to drive real innovation? How will you prove your value as a top-tier solutions architect? That answer is entirely in your hands.